Thank you very much for making a date on this edition of the Markets, please. Now, investors in the pensions industry are advocating prioritizing government's treasuries in the event of the cedi's persistent fluctuation. At the 2019 Pension Strategy Conference, Chief Investment Officer of the Access Pension Group, Nana Wiafe Boama, tells Joy Business Treasury bill investment will definitely cushion investors against the cedi's fluctuation against the dollar. There's more in this report.
The cedi's poor performance against the dollar continues to have a toll on the cost of doing business, especially among local manufacturers. The question is how and where to invest in the wake of this depreciating trend. Let's hear from the Chief Investment Officer of the Access Pension Group, Nana Wiafe Boama, who tells Joy Business that government treasury bills must be an attractive investment avenue in these times.
An investment in Government of Ghana Treasury bill has outperformed currency depreciation. So to have your money, saved under your bed, with currency depreciating, it's worse. But then if you have that asset invested, why should you worry as a Ghanaian resident living in Ghana when your liabilities are actually in USD? So stay calm and keep investing in assets, that yields an appreciable return above inflation, above depreciation.
The 2019 Pensions Strategy Conference saw players in the field of pensions also deliberate on ways to make pensions more attractive. Group CEO of Access Pensions Trust, Efri Awari, tells Joy Business channeling pension funds to mortgage financing must be the way forward.
The point is pension funds provide long-term capital and mortgages are long-term in nature. And so from where we sit, we think it's possible. We are soon going to see that indeed the current investment guideline for pension funds allows pension funds to invest in mortgage-backed securities. The market, I believe, is getting its acts together. I know the Securities and Exchange Commission is working on a new regulatory framework for REIT. So in a short time, we should start seeing mortgage-backed securities.
Access Pensions Trust Limited, a leading company in the retirement savings industry in Ghana, was incorporated in September 2010 and obtained a license as a corporate trustee from the National Pensions Regulatory Authority in March 2012.
Meanwhile, this year's edition of the Joy Business Financial Services Forum has just ended at the Tang Palace Hotel here in Accra on the topic recapitalizing to grow, a panacea for expansion, penetration and big business underwriting. Special guest of honor, Deputy Finance Minister Kwaku Kwarteng, reiterated government support for the National Insurance Commission in the quest to recapitalize the insurance industry through increasing the minimum capital requirement. Kwaku Kwarteng says the sector plays a key role in the financial sector, hence the need for a strong foundation to deliver on its mandates.
In developed countries, penetration rates are above 15%, and indeed, insurance companies own most of the banks. Unfortunately, the reverse is the case in Ghana's economy. To enable the sector improve its penetration, the industry must not only emphasize on recapitalization, but also improve its corporate governance and risk management culture. Insurance companies must be adequately capitalized to ensure that they are strong, efficient, and profitable. Poorly capitalized companies are unlikely to handle huge transactions, especially in the emerging oil and gas sectors. As part of Ghana's financial sector policy initiatives, and as we stated in the 2018 budget and economic statement, government is undertaking pensions and insurance sector reforms aimed at directing funds in these sectors through the capital market for efficient utilization and development. This will position the insurance sector as one of the major institutional investors on the Ghana Stock Exchange. It will also enable banks to have access to long-term funds by channeling structured short-term funds through the capital market. Government, working with our development partners, has developed a national fiscal inclusion strategy aimed at increasing access to formal financial services for adult population from the current 58% to 75% by 2023. Given the diverse nature of financial services, the strategy will focus on highly excluded groups, including rural residents, women, youth, and the poorest quartile of the population.
All right, so we'll certainly get back to the Joy Business Financial Services Forum with some more updates as we try to link up with my colleague Ebenezer Sabuti, who's currently at the forum. Now, before we get there, in the last few days, the Ghana cedi has continued to record some appreciation against the dollar on the market. The local currency from last week performed impressively against the US dollar. Economist from Data Bank Courage Mate has been sharing some thoughts on this appreciating trend.
The Bank of Ghana's rate, we've seen stability for the past 4 consecutive trading days. It's been stable at 5.24 to the dollar. And on the Forex Bureau, we are seeing the start of correction at the Forex Bureau because what we've seen in the last 2 consecutive trading days is that there appears to be a reversal in the depreciation, having hit a peak of about 5.7 or 5.8, we are now down to about 5.56. And so you could see that there's a correction taking place. What is the trigger for this stability or correction? Most recently, we heard the finance minister and other government officials saying that there are actions in the works to bring in some dollars into the system, and we know as part of this is the anticipated Eurobond, which is currently ongoing. The roadshow is currently ongoing, and the expected amount is about $3 billion, as said by the finance minister. I think the market has picked this information, and a lot of the panic buying that we saw in the weeks leading up to last week is beginning to reverse. And once this panic buying of the FX is reversing, we will see a lot of these segments of the market dumping the dollars back onto the market, and that will cause an appreciation of the cedi or a correction in the value of the cedi back to where it should be. So I think at the end of the day, what we are seeing is the market pricing in the new information of expected inflows.
So will you then say that what was happening to the cedi, the performance against the dollar and other trading currency was artificially created?
Well, beyond a certain point, you could say it became artificial because then panic buying became the order of the day, speculation became the order of the day, and hoarding became the order of the day. These kinds of scenario does not or do not reflect the fundamentals of the economy. And once this is the other order of the day, it is artificial because then you cannot pin it or link it to any economic fundamental or development. At the end of the day, what you want to see is a situation where the risk that has been overpriced into the system is corrected. And now that is what we are seeing and likely to see in the days ahead. And once this panic is easing, you see the cedi reverting to what it should be. And then this is where the issue of artificial pricing comes in.
I see. But you spoke about the Eurobond roadshow that is currently ongoing, and then also government said they were going to pump in some $800 million to be able to stabilize the cedi against the dollar and other currencies. That hasn't been done yet, but we are seeing the effect, like you're saying. But in the past, successive governments have always used the short-term means of pumping dollar into the system as a way of getting the cedi to be on its feet against the trading currencies. Do you see that these short-term measures, always pumping dollars into the system, is the best way to go?
Obviously not. I mean, because there is a finite level of reserves. Your reserves is not infinite, and so there is a limit to which you can pump in the dollars. And even if you go borrow, you borrow for a period, and it gives you an external obligation which you have to meet in the future. If at the time you run down the reserves to meet that obligation, then the cedi becomes exposed again. So these kinds of approach are short-term approaches to restore stability, but also give room to the policymakers, particularly the government, to ensure they embark on the kind of aggressive policy implementation that will tilt the economy in favor of the export sector.
And those were the views of economists from Data Bank, Courage Marty. Let's now go over again to my colleague Ebenezer Sabuti at the just ended Joy Business Financial Services Forum at the Tang Palace Hotel here in Accra. Ebenezer, if you can hear me, you're welcome to the marketplace. Now, how can you rate this particular edition of the Joy Business Financial Services Forum?
I think it has been great. This has been one of the best forums we've had in recent times, especially when you look at the industry that we touched on today. The insurance sector has been one of the sectors that has been in the news for some reasons you and I know. That has to do with recapitalization. So the issues that came on board that has to do with whether recapitalization will make the industry grow or not has been the main focus of the discussion. We had the Deputy Minister for Finance, Kwaku Kwarteng, here, who gave his assurance or his commitment that government is solidly behind the National Insurance Commission in whatever steps it is taking to grow the industry. We are talking about penetration here. Some don't believe that the steps taken by the NIC is the best way to go. I had a Garedu who spoke against the fact that the National Insurance Commission itself is not going according to the law that mandates it to do its operations. So they talk about the fact that they are leaving the informal sector and they are only targeting the high-end, sectors of the economy. They talk about the fact that people are walking down the street. Even some personnel of these insurance companies have not taken personal insurance themselves. So if yourself, you don't have confidence in the system, how do you then translate the industry's benefits to those you and I, those in the offices? So it has been a fruitful discussion. We had KPMG here being represented by Mr. Jato, also giving us some highlights about some of their assessments into other markets, that is South Africa, Nigeria, and coming here into Ghana as well. We also had someone from the, Simon Davo, the former Deputy Commissioner, yes, of the National Insurance Commission, also giving us some highlights about how the industry has traveled and how come we got here today. He is trying to say that, yes, recapitalization is good, but if we don't do it well, we are not going to get the necessary results that we need, because the industry has recorded losses for more than 5 years. And the recapitalization that we are going to do should be systematic, such that we will not be, the capital that will come in will not be taken over by losses.
Now, I believe there was some, comments also on oil and gas insurance. Now, bearing the fact that this is a very heavy, business risk or business tickets that has to be underwritten by local insurance companies. Now, what were some of the options that came up, with regard to local insurance companies taking up the huge risks in the sector, the oil and gas sector?
There were no specific options given to industry players, but what some suggested was that if a particular insurance company want to go into oil and gas, they should be given that necessary mechanisms or policies, so that they say, insurance A, you want to go into oil and gas, therefore you recapitalize to this level. They mentioned the example of the FPS Kwame Nkrumah, that they got to a point where we need to insure it, and the whole of this country, we got only 1% of insurance companies to cover its premium cost, and they think it's an indictment on us that such a country, we could not be able to insure our own offshore facility. So there has been that debate that those companies that will be interested to go into that sector should be given specific policies, so that it doesn't come like a cut-across policy for everyone to recapitalize. Meanwhile, at the end of the day, they are not interested in going into the oil and gas space. Others also believe that they need to concentrate on micro-insurance as well, so that those people can also be given specific policies, so that they can go in there and concentrate on the work over there, or in the quest to enhance the financial industry. So there has been many options given out, but there hasn't been any real cost-cutting measures as to this is what you should do or this is not what you should do. However, there has been some responses to the National Insurance Commission's objective of recapitalizing and all that. Some think it's not the best. Recapitalizing alone will not expand the insurance industry.
Well, now, Eben, there were some heated moments, especially when Edgar Redu, an insurance stakeholder, asked the question, and it came across like a banter. You know, what have some of the participants who witnessed this event been saying?
You are right, Ima. There was an instance when Agaredu thought, some of the questions that we put on our, discussion is not supposed to be so, because he thinks that we cannot recapitalize when we have not grown yet. He is of the view that the insurance sector has not grown yet. Therefore, we cannot ask anybody to recapitalize. We should wait for the industry to grow before we recapitalize. We cannot say an industry that is having a penetration level of less than 2% or less than 3% should recapitalize at this moment. And also, there was a finance minister who also thought, no, we need a strong, financial industry. So we cannot say because the industry has not grown, so we'll sit and watch. Because when you look at the economy itself, it has grown, especially when it comes to when we did a rebasing last year. So if the economy is growing, at least it's a sign of some expansion. Therefore, there's the need for the insurance industry also to expand. And the way to expand it is to recapitalize. After recapitalization, there will be much expansion.
For that update, Ebenezer Sabute reaching us live from the Tang Palace Hotel, where the Joy Business Financial Services Forum just ended a while ago. Away from that, let's now delve into the telecom sector. And Vodafone Ghana has finally launched its much anticipated 4G and 4.5 services, termed the Real 4G network. The outgoing CEO of Vodafone, Yolanda Cuba, noted the new service now gives Vodafone the edge to compete in the telecom space.
I'm excited because it is finally here. Today, we launch our 4G and 4.5G services in Ghana, and I am not just excited, I am super, super excited. For me, this has been a culmination of great work put together by the entire team at Vodafone Ghana, working in partnership with our minority shareholder, the Government of Ghana, and the National Communications Authority. It has taken a while. It has taken a lot of effort and a lot of determination from all the key stakeholders here present to make this a reality. We've had to convince each other. We've had to make sure that we are still pals at difficult times. And today is the beginning of a new dawn. And the real 4G experience is here. It's been a tough journey, requiring even tougher decisions by management.
Meanwhile, Communications Minister Esla Usu congratulated management of Vodafone and urged the company not to rest on its oars, but aim towards reaching the 5G space, which according to her will soon be rolled out in the country.
4G is great. I'm glad you have deployed 4.5G on some of your sites, but it is just a step towards where the entire industry is evolving towards, 5G. It's not as far-fetched as it seems. And I did ask Huawei whether the equipment that they're deploying is 5G ready, and they said yes. So you're well on your way. The trials will be starting. We're looking forward, just a simple thing that I thought was cool, to bins, garbage bins embedded with SIM cards, which will send a notice to the garbage collectors that I'm full, come and empty me, without any human intervention. Those are some of the connected devices, in addition to driverless cars and other bits and bobs that we'll be seeing on our roads soon. You think it's the stuff of science fiction? It's here already. And we are looking forward to the day that Ghana would also be part of that revolution.
And Parliament is expected to ratify the special international policy on fighting cybercrime adopted by government before it rises for the Easter break. Known as the Budapest Convention, the law gives backing to the National Cyber Security Center of Ghana to work effectively with telecom operators and other stakeholders to fight cyber crimes in the country. Addressing a conference on the implementation of the Budapest Convention here in Accra, Minister of Communications Esla Owusu-Ekufo disclosed that Parliament is committed to getting the law ratified. Ebenezer Sabuti was there and reports.
The Budapest Convention on Cybercrime has been initialed by 66 countries since it was adopted by the United Nations in 2001. In sub-Saharan Africa, Ghana is leading the way as the first Anglophone country to ratify the law since its adoption. The law mandated government to set up a special secretariat for fighting cybercrime, as well as giving out strategies to security agencies in dealing with the menace. Minister for Communications Esla Owusu-Ekufo, in her opening remarks for the two-day conference on the implementation of the law, expressed confidence that Parliament will ratify it before going on break.
These actions were born out of our recognition that we need to fight the menace of cybercrime through international cooperation, as we cannot go it alone. And we're privileged to work with the Council of Europe through the GLACY Plus project to learn from the experiences of others. I'm pleased to announce that the Budapest Convention is currently before Parliament for ratification, and we hope that it will be done before we rise for the Easter term.
In an interview with Joy Business, Esla also urged telecom service providers to collaborate with government in the quest to secure the digital space.
Now, the more you build confidence in our telecommunications and digital ecosystem, the more people feel free to use it more. Once people get to feel that they would be targets of cyber fraudsters and criminals without any protection, they would step back a bit from utilizing it. We want to encourage greater usage. So it is in their interest to cooperate with law enforcement to build a safer digital Ghana for citizens to also engage fully in. It gives them more business. It provides us with more security as we increasingly digitize our economy.
With the increasing number of mobile money users on a daily basis, Ghana is said to be leading the way among the West African sub-region with regards to cybersecurity.
And that will be all we have for you on today's edition of The Marketplace. Many thanks for being with us. It's been so great having you on board. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Wiafi. Let's meet again same time tomorrow with more developments in the world of business. Have a good afternoon.